What if I told you that a simple 5-cent coin sitting quietly in your pocket could be more interesting than you think? Most people never look twice at their coins, they spend them without thinking. But today we are focusing on the 2003 D. Jefferson nickel, a coin that looks completely ordinary, yet still has details that can make it stand out. If you take a closer look, the D mint mark tells you it was produced in Denver, and millions of these coins were made, which is why most people assume it is no extra value. But the real story begins when you stop seeing it as just another coin and start paying attention to the details. Every coin carries a design that connects it to history, and this one is no different. On the front, you will see Thomas Jefferson, and on the back, you will see Monticello, a design that remained in use for many years and became one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Because it was so common, people stopped noticing it. But collectors continue to study every line, every letter, and every surface, looking for anything unusual. Coins are produced in large numbers, and during that process, small imperfections can sometimes occur. Most coins come out exactly the same, but a few may show slight differences. These differences can include small shifts in the design, like doubling in the text, or unusual surface marks that were not intended. To most people, this might look like damage, but as someone who understands coins, it can be a reason to take a closer look. This is where the idea of hidden potential comes in. Instead of asking if a coin is rare, you start asking what makes it different. Because in coin collecting, difference is what creates interest. When a coin has something unique about it, it stands apart from the millions of others that look the same. And that is what makes collectors pay attention, even if the difference is very small. Condition is another key factor that cannot be ignored. A coin that has been used for years will show where the surface becomes dull, to fine details fade, and small scratches appear. This is normal for coins in circulation. But when you find a coin that still looks clean, bright, and sharp, it immediately becomes more interesting. Collectors describe this as uncirculated condition, meaning the coin has not been worn down by everyday use. If you ever come across a 2003 D nickel that still has strong shine and clear details, it is worth taking a closer look, because coins in better condition are always harder to find compared to worn ones. The difference may not seem important at first, but once you compare coins side by side, you will start to see how much condition really matters. Now look closely at the back of the coin and focus on the building of Monticello, especially the steps. This detail is very important among collectors. If the steps are clearly visible and not worn away, the coin is often described as having full steps. This small feature can make a noticeable difference because it shows how well the coin was struck and preserved over time. Checking your coin is simple and does not require anything special. Just hold it under a bright light and tilt it slowly to see how the surface reflects. If you have a magnifying glass, you can use it to examine the finer details. Look at the letter in the edges and the overall sharpness, because these areas will help you notice any differences more easily. At first, all coins might look the same, but as you spend more time observing them, you will start to notice small variations. And that is when the process becomes more interesting, because you begin to understand that even coins from the same year and mint can look different depending on how they were made and how they were used. It is important to stay realistic. Most 2003 D nickels are still common and worth only 5 cents, but that does not mean they are not worth checking. The excitement comes from possibility, because each coin you examine is another chance to find something that stands out, and sometimes that is enough to make the search worthwhile. Think of it as a simple treasure hunt that you can do anytime the coins are already around you in your wallet at home or in loose change. All you need to do is slow down and start paying attention to something that most people ignore completely, and that simple habit can change the way you see everyday objects. Collectors around the world continue to search for coins in better condition or coins with unusual features, because the demand for quality and uniqueness is always there. Even small coins can become interesting when they meet the right conditions, and that is why people continue to check their change, hoping to find something different. Another interesting aspect is that coins connect you to everyday history. This 2003 D nickel has passed through many hands over the years and has been part of countless small transactions. When you hold it, you are holding something that has been part of daily life, and that alone can make it meaningful beyond its face value. If you decide to keep coins that look better than usual, try to store them carefully, avoid touching the surface too much, and keep them in a dry place, because maintaining their condition is important. Even small changes can affect how the coin looks over time, and once the original surface is damaged, it cannot be fully restored. As you continue checking your coins, you may find the process relaxing and even enjoyable. It does not require special skills or expensive tools, just a bit of curiosity and patience. The more you look, the more you learn, And the more you learn, the more interesting it becomes. So the next time you receive a 5-cent coin, do not ignore, take a moment and look at it carefully. Notice the shine, the details, and anything that seems different, because once you start paying attention, you realize that even the most ordinary coins can have something interesting hidden inside them. You do not need to be an expert to begin. All you need is the willingness to observe and learn. Over time, your ability to notice details will improve, and you may start to see things that others miss, and that is where the real value of this hobby begins. In the end, the 2003D nickel is a reminder that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it is hidden in small details that people overlook every day, and the only way to find it is to slow down, look closely, and give attention to something that most people never think about. And that simple habit can completely change the way you see every coin you come across from now on. Listen carefully, because a coin you might be ignoring today could quietly hold more value than you ever imagined. And right now we're talking about the 2006 D5-cent coin, a piece that looks completely ordinary at first glance, but hides details that collectors pay serious attention to. This is not just another nickel sitting in your pocket. This is part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, a design that has been trusted, used, and collected for decades. And the 2006 D version comes from the Denver Mint, one of the most important coin-producing facilities in the United States, marked by the small D mint mark that many people overlook, but collectors never ignore. Now imagine this. Millions of these coins were made, yes, but within those millions, only a small number stand out due to condition, shine, and rare minting imperfections. And that's where the real story begins. Because while most 2006 D nickels are only worth face value, a few hidden gems can sell for significantly higher amounts, sometimes surprising even experienced collectors. The design itself features a familiar face of Thomas Jefferson on the front, but unlike older versions, this modern portrait has a sharper and more detailed appearance, giving the coin a fresh look that reflects modern minting technology. Flip the coin and you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's historic home, standing proudly on the reverse, a symbol of American heritage that has remained a key part of the nickel's identity for years. Now here's where things get interesting. Condition is everything. A worn-out coin that has passed through thousands of hands will almost always stay at 5 cents, but a coin that has been preserved in near-perfect condition, what collectors call mint state, can be worth much more, especially if it has a strong strike, clean surfaces, and original luster that shines under light. And if you think that's all, think again, because errors are where the real excitement begins. Imagine finding a 2006 D nickel with an off-center strike, where the design is slightly shifted, or a double die error, where the text appears doubled. These mistakes happen during the minting process and instantly turn an ordinary coin into something collectors actively hunt for. And when demand meets rarity, prices can jump quickly, not to unrealistic millions, but definitely high enough to make you look twice at every coin you own. And here's the part most people miss. Many valuable coins are still in circulation, hidden in jars, drawers, or even your daily change, waiting for someone to recognize their true worth. So the next time you see a 2006 D nickel, don't just spend it without a second thought. Take a closer look. Check the mint mark. Examine the edges. Notice the shine. Because small details can make a big difference. Collectors often use magnifying tools to inspect coins, searching for tiny variations that can completely change the value. And if you ever come across a coin that looks unusually sharp or slightly different from the rest, it might be worth setting aside. Now, let's talk about grading. Coins are graded on a scale that determines their condition, from heavily worn to perfect mint state, and even a small jump in grade can increase value significantly, especially for modern coins like the 2006 D nickel, where high-grade examples are harder to find than people expect, because most coins enter circulation immediately and start losing their original quality. So finding one that has remained untouched is like finding a hidden opportunity. And that's exactly what coin collecting is all about, spotting value where others see none, understanding history, design, and rarity, and turning small discoveries into meaningful finds. And while the 2006 D nickel may not sound exciting at first, it becomes much more interesting when you realize how condition and errors can transform it. And this is why collectors never ignore any coin, because every piece is a story. Every detail matters, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking coin can surprise you the most. So start checking your change today. because you never know what you might already have in your hands. A simple 5-cent coin that could be worth far more than its face value, quietly waiting to be discovered.